With the launch of Beyond, Hello Games has cemented No Man's Sky as an incredible game. Some people may still be upset about its initial launch, but the vast majority of players are mostly in agreement that this is a game worth playing and owning. Now, even though the game is absolutely massive now, Sean Murray has already stated that Hello Games will continue to update and expand the game for the foreseeable future. Now, in my last video on 10 things No Man's Sky still needed, I saw many people felt some of my ground combat suggestions weren't quite in tune with the game. But most people seem to all like some of my suggestions, such as palatable freighters, fleet versus fleet battles, true factions, cities and towns, and an implementation of a true player-based economy. So after taking that feedback to heart and reading through every comment left in that video, I've come up with 10 more features that are much more aligned with the game, and not quite as combat focused. Now before we get into that list, if you want to make any suggestions about ideas of your own, make sure to leave them down in the comments, and they may be in the next video. Okay, with that said, here are 10 features No Man's Sky still needs after the Beyond expansion, with my 10th feature being one that 100% of the player base would surely want. The first feature I'd love to see implemented in No Man's Sky is one that harkens back to the very first teaser trailer of the game, and that is the addition of massive Titan animals. Of course, the obvious go-to example of this are the giant sand snakes that appeared in the first trailer. These creatures were one of the best parts of that teaser, and back before we knew much about the game, many people's minds began racing with the possibilities that these creatures would pose in the game, as we were originally told that we would see bigger, badder, and more dangerous creatures as we journeyed further towards the center of the universe. Now, I don't think we need worms the size of the ones seen in Dune, but if we could get ones the size of the scripted event in Star Citizen, or ones similar to what's been done in mods, this would give players another exciting incentive to explore much more of the galaxy and see what giants are out there. These Titans could either be beautiful and passive creatures for viewing, or aggressive and dangerous. At the current moment in No Man's Sky, creatures are mostly just passive. Yes, there are a couple of creatures that may be harmful to the player, but most of them just aren't that threatening. It'd be cool if we the players could get a greater variety of animals in the game that are aggressive right off the bat. Space is a big place, and if no one can hear you scream, well, let's be given a reason to scream. Going back to the previously mentioned Titan idea, certain planets should contain dangerous behemoths, adding a challenge for you and your friends as you all try and build establishments on these worlds, capable of enduring against these attacks. Plus, everyone loves games where you and your friends have to survive, so it's always funny and fun when you're all running for your life and one of your buddies gets taken up. So now with planets having massive and dangerous creatures, there's one more place that needs to have creatures added as well. Right now in space there are fleets, pirates, and asteroids to fly around and discover, but a core feature of No Man's Sky is discovering and naming animals. I think this game would greatly benefit in making some of those flying creatures that we see in the sky on planets appear in the boundless vacuum of space. And once again, these creatures could either be watched and observed for their elegance, or ones that present danger not just to you, but also your fleet. There are already fleet missions in the game where you have to fight off pirates and other enemies, so why not add dangerous space whales to that list as well, with small ones going after fighter craft, and larger ones going after your frigates and freighter. Hello Games could go even farther and add in special high-level missions in the game where you need a massive fleet in order to try and take down a colossal boss creature, akin to what was seen in Star Wars: A Solo Story. Animals, though, aren't the only things I've seen players want added in space. Something else I've seen a lot of the community wanting in space is the usability of asteroids. By this I mean the addition of allowing players to actually land on asteroids, which would then let them perform asteroid mining for rare and valuable resources, establish NPC trading posts, as well as drive around in your exocraft in low gravity. And most importantly, it would allow players to finally perform one of the core features on asteroids: base building. Even though base building was not in the vanilla game, it, along with freighters, has become a staple of the game, and many find it to be one of the most enjoyable aspects. Building bases in water has already been added, which adds visually captivating scenery to the exterior, and also brought lots of exclusive base parts specifically designed for underwater base building. So if Hello Games added the same level of care to asteroids that they added to water, this feature could possibly be an update all on its own, along with one more addition added to space. Something that's become a fun little activity to do in No Man's Sky is exploring crashed freighters for rare loot and resources. And while I appreciate this addition, I would like if the crashed freighters were a lot larger in size. with an explorable interior similar to the size of your own freighter, or something like what was shown in Star Wars with crashed Star Destroyers. Then along with these larger crashed freighters on the ground, it'd be equally as interesting to see them added to space. Imagine how cool it'd be to be traveling in space and then suddenly you see this massive metal behemoth come into focus. It's been destroyed and abandoned, but you can get in your ship and land inside of it to explore. Once inside, it'd be large enough that you might actually get lost in it, and maybe, just maybe, if Hello Games is feeling adventurous enough, they could even add in a couple creatures for a scary ambience. Obviously nothing along the lines of Dead Space, RIP to that franchise, but I'm sure Hello Games could create some kid-friendly creatures that are still scary enough to add to these ships, making them another environmental hazard to the game. When you think of surviving on a new planet, one major challenge of that task usually involves having to fare against extreme environmental hazards and weather. At the moment in the game, this simply boils down to some info on the screen, informing you that you're in hazardous conditions, and there can be some visually interesting dust storms at times, but I think this game really needs an extreme weather upgrade. This could include tsunamis on water planets, dust storms with extreme wind force and power that are capable of harming you and your base, tornadoes able to tear through anything, acid rain along with visually impressive thunderstorms, and maybe even cold that is capable of killing and freezing nearly anything, requiring you to build and live underground. Weather like this could give the game a much needed challenge to survivability on planets, as well as make building proper bases that can endure weather like this a necessity, especially if the planets have multiple forms of hazardous weather, due to multiple biomes. I've seen complaints and comments on how late in the game, when players have seen or done nearly everything, that planet exploration begins to lose much of its charm, because after 10 minutes of exploring, you've more than likely seen all that a planet has to offer, in terms of animals and its biome. A simple fix to this would be to make planets contain multiple biomes. We all know these planets are insanely massive, so why not make the diversity in biomes represent something similar to Skyrim, with snowy landscapes, wide open fall-colored fields, dense green forestry, and maybe even some desert locations like what was seen in Just Cause 2. With this addition, players would now have to explore planets much longer to see everything they have to offer, as well as maybe even find some rare locations that appear terrifying to discover and contain unique and expensive loot. Now with this addition, it may seem like planets couldn't get any more interesting, but there's still one more addition that would allow players to finally feel as if a planet is truly home to them. A suggestion I've seen made a couple times in the comments is the ability to terraform a planet. I think this would be one of the last steps in the evolution of planet exploration. If multiple biomes were allowed to appear on planets along with dangerous weather, then players who have reached the endgame would be able to use massive terraforming machinery to help them craft their own worlds. This would allow players to make planets look exactly how they want. They could pick what biomes would exist on them, what structures would appear in terms of mountains and rivers, as well as the harsh weather patterns that could exist. Right now in the game, you can visit other players' planets and see their bases that they've already established there. But imagine how much more interesting it would be to explore entire worlds created by players. This would allow the creative explorers to really go wild, and make environments that are both beautiful and dangerous. With the Nexus already containing a teleporter to visit other players' bases, this seems like a natural fit for exploring worlds created by players, to see what the environment is like, as well as what wildlife they may contain. The animals of No Man's Sky are as varied as the planets, and with the Beyond update, players can now tame and ride these magnificent creatures. Discovering, naming, and riding animals is one of the core elements of the game, but similar to my previously suggested planet terraforming, I think an element Hello Games should add next to the game is the ability for players to craft their own animals. Once again, not only would this allow for some truly creative people to shine, but this could also be another aspect of making planets have a lot more diversity, and let players add in unique and crazy looking animals for others to discover and observe. In my idea of how this would be incorporated, players could gather DNA from other species during their travels throughout the game, and then use that to mix and match body parts to make the creature look visually how they want before deciding on the size of the creature as well as its behavior, and if it's aggressive or passive. With this addition, planets discovered by players could be as beautiful and dangerous as Jurassic Park. So now that planets, animals, and space have all been addressed, there's one last feature this game needs that's constantly been a top request by the community. At the moment in No Man's Sky, there's not really any way to customize your ship, aside from changing up the weapon technology, determining the name of it, or finding and getting your hands on a new one. If you want to change your ship's color, or change out the engines, tail, or another part, then sadly there's not much to do. Now while I appreciate the wide variety of ships in the game, and the many purposes they serve, I think all of us No Man's Sky players can agree that it would truly take this game to new heights if we could design, build, and paint our ships how we want. We could gather parts as loot throughout the game, buy and sell designs, and mix and match looks to create a ship that truly reflects us, and allows the player to have a personal connection with an in-game object. At the heart and core of No Man's Sky, almost every aspect of the game is connected by you flying around in your ship, and with beyond giving the interiors a makeover, along with greatly enhancing the size and exterior detail as well, the ships in this game are beautiful, and I absolutely love the look and feel of them, but other than that, there's nothing about the ship that makes it look like it's mine and mine only. Being able to design the structure of the ship before making our own custom decals and colors on it would allow every player to feel much more connected to the game and the universe of No Man's Sky. This feature would not only be utilized by every current player, but could even be a selling point of the game all on its own. No Man's Sky is already a gem in today's gaming market, as it's a shining example of a small indie studio that used the revenue from the game's launch and put those resources back into the game to update and evolve it into something that people truly enjoy. Yes, it's true that at its core, the game still has weak combat, and it's very much centered around gathering and exploring. But for millions of players who enjoy a more relaxing experience and a game to play and have fun with friends in, well, No Man's Sky provides them just that. These 10 features I've suggested certainly aren't a necessity for the game to be good. It already is, but they could greatly expand upon the existing game. With additions such as building your own planets, creating your own creatures, and designing your own ships, I think Hello Games could create some amazing updates and expansions. These features seem like natural evolutions of what's already in the game, and would give players all the more reason to either continue exploring this limitless universe, or convince newcomers to strap into their exosuit, jump into their spacecraft, and begin one of the most unique adventures of this console generation. Well, that wraps up this video on 10 features I'd like to see introduced or improved upon in No Man's Sky. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of my ideas, and let me know your own ideas as well. If you'd like to contact me about anything No Man's Sky related or otherwise, as well as stay updated on my videos, then go and follow my Twitter account linked below. And if you want awesome perks such as behind the scenes of my videos, involvement in the creation progress, mentions in the credits such as seen here, and much more, then go check out my Patreon down below, and find a tier that fits you best. With that said, let's chat down in the comments, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, be sure to leave a like, share the video, and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all on the next Shepherd Gaming video. Kila Salai.